Welcome back to Just Scrap Radio on BJPen.com. I'm your host, Cole Shelton, episode 60. We're coming a week early. Obviously, no UFC this week. There's not a UFC card till December 4th. I'm actually on vacation next week, so I'm putting this one out a week early. But first up, we're going to be joined by one half of the main event in Rob Font to preview his fight against Jose Aldo. Obviously, a really big fight for Rob. We kind of talk about this being able to fight Jose Aldo is a legend and kind of the state of the bantamweight division. Like, he's very honest, not knowing really what a win does for him, especially with Yan, Sterling having to rematch, Dillashaw saying he's getting the next card. So Font just says he just has to win this fight and worry about what happens after this fight. But really good chat with Rob. Then we're then going to be joined by Matt Brown to preview his fight against Brian Barberino, which is a really fun fight. Matt Brown's actually the underdog, which kind of surprised me. Brian's coming off that disappointing loss to Jason Witt. Matt Brown coming off that big knock one over Diego Lima. Matt's really fully focused. He's ready to kind of get back in there, get some wins, and kind of see what happens. I remember after I talked to him, he was hinting at retirement a while back, like when he was on after Condit. He kind of talked about maybe that's it, but he's kind of turned things around. Big win last time, so he's looking to make it 2 in a row here. We're then going to be joined by both Louis Smolka and Vince Morales, who are actually fighting each other. They both brought a very similar thing. So Vince Morales, his cousin, is obviously Ricky Simone, UFC bantamweight. He trains with Louis Smolka at Team Ayama. So it's kind of been a really weird thing. Louis Smolka admits like he didn't want to take this fight at all, and now the UFC basically just forced it. Vince said he called Ricky. Ricky said, I won't be in the training. It's fine. You can take it if the UFC asks you because UFC have to. So both these guys really didn't want to take it. They both said Ricky's been really a true pro, stepped out of it, not helping either guy, not talking to either guy. But Louis says when he does come into the gym, he kind of makes fun of him and saying, "Oh, there's a mole in here." But really good chat with both these guys. Be sure to share the show, subscribe. Just like I mentioned, I'm on vacation next week, so not there won't be an episode. This is obviously why it's coming out, but 2 weeks from now, we'll be back for a really stacked show. I've done all the interviews to that for UFC 269, so really looking forward to putting that out. But thank you all for listening. Be sure to share the show, subscribe, and thank you all again. All right, we're joined by UFC bantamweight Rob Font, who's headlining a big card coming up. Rob, how's it going?
Doing great, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Main event, Jose Aldo, like, doesn't get him much bigger than this in the bantamweight division. When you got this offer, like, what kind of goes through your head?
Oh man, I was like, hell yeah, man. This is huge. Another main event, Vegas. I love Vegas. I can't complain. Um, always going back to Vegas is always a good time. It's another big name, a legend. Former champ, former, basically a Hall of Famer. So it's kind of like this is a big fight, big name, and another main event, and I'm just blessed to get this opportunity.
When he dropped down to bantamweight, like, was he someone you always had your eye on just because of like his kind of legend status of always wanting to fight him?
Honestly, I didn't think he was going to be able to make the weight because I remember he was kind of there's a couple of fights where he was kind of struggling to make 45. So when he did out there, I don't know. I thought it was going to be one of those situations where maybe he tried and then he goes back up. But he's been looking good. He's obviously there's 4 fights. He made the weight 4 times. So it was I don't think until like the second fight, I want to say the Marlon Moraes fight. I was like, all right, well, this is definitely might happen. But he's making the weight, and yeah, this is huge, man.
What have you made of his run in the bantamweight division? He's 2-2, but a lot of people kind of thought he beat Marlon, so he could be 3-1. The one loss is to Yan for the title.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was a real close fight. I believe watching it versus Marlon. I believe when I was watching it, I gave it to Jose. He looked good, and even in the Peter Yan fight, and then just got caught towards the end. Um, I think he's still sharp. He looked real good against Munoz. That's a guy I lost to. So this is I know that's in the back of his mind as well. Yeah, I think he looks sharp. I think he's still dangerous, and it's definitely gonna be a competitive fight for sure.
Is it kind of surreal fighting him? Because I remember when I talked to Tyson, he said like you guys always prepared for him, but it was more helping Kelvin kind of prepare for him because he was obviously the top at featherweight.
Yeah, we always, you always have those guys in your mind that because again, I grew up watching all those. I didn't even start watching the UFC. I started with the WEC, so and obviously he was the king of the WEC. And you always think about those guys. You always try to mimic those type of guys. I really didn't think he was going to make 35, so I was never in the, like said like, yeah, but then he's here, so we have now Calvin's mimicking him for me.
His leg kicks were always a big part of his game, so, like, he's kind of been bringing it back, so how have you been kind of prepared for that?
Yeah, just obviously checking him, but really just trying to make him miss and making him pay. Plan on not even being there for those leg kicks. And if he does, he's gonna have to earn them. But yeah, obviously he's dangerous. He's quick. He's been using those leg kicks for a while. But I definitely am drilling, man. I don't plan on getting kicked at all.
Your last fight, you went 5 rounds. How big of a relief was that for you? Because now, like, you obviously always know you can go 5 rounds. That's kinda just prove that you could do it 5 rounds.
Exactly. There's one thing to kind of like be able to do it in the gym and even get scheduled for a 5 round fight and train for a 5 round fight, but then to actually go through the whole 5 round fight puts a little bit more of a lot more confidence and then a little bit like you said of knowing. Like I know I can do it. I've done it. I can watch it. I've seen it, and I felt it. So yeah, 5 rounds definitely I believe in this fight favors me for sure.
Stylistically, how do you think you match up against him? Because a lot of people kinda think this will be a striking kind of fight.
Yeah, I plan on keeping standing. I plan on actually making him shoot. I want to force him to make bad shots, stop him, get on top, and then make him pay. But I believe there's going to be a stand up war for sure.
How much have you watched the Yan fight where he kind of had a lot of success and he kind of faded as the fight went on? Is that kind of something you're expecting in this one?
Yes and no. I think that's kind of like what Jan does to a lot of people. But I definitely wouldn't mind still in that same game plan. I plan on trying to get him out of there a little earlier, but and not taking as much damage as a guy like Jan does. He kind of like just takes it and then gets you tired and then makes you pay. Um, I plan on similar thing, but not taking as much damage for sure.
Your jab's a big part of your game. Like, how important will that be just to get it going right away?
It'll be basically the whole game plan. If I can get my jab on him, keep him at range, and I can dictate the pace, dictate the leg kicks, and line myself up for that right hand. So I would say this is the jab's going to be a key point in this fight for sure.
How do you kind of see it playing out? Because Aldo is a pretty durable guy. Like, only guys to finish him are McGregor, Holloway, and Yan, who are like 3 of the best.
Yeah, the plan is to be accurate. Be accurate, wear him down, and never not to really force it, let him run into it. But again, like I know I can go 5 rounds, and if I need to just pick him apart and be cool with the decision, I'm cool with that as well.
The smaller octagon at the Apex, do you think that plays a factor in the fight?
Um, I do, yeah, it does. But I believe more for like for the wrestling. I believe once we get in there and it won't be that much of an advantage as far as striking, but for wrestling for sure.
What's this year been like for you? Like, only 2 fights, but you could have 2 main event wins over former champs and Cody and Aldo.
Yeah, man. I think it's been a crazy year so far, but if I can, obviously finish off this year with another big win, hopefully a finish over a legend like Aldo is it puts me right back where I need to be as far as you know um, having a big argument for that title shot.
That's kind of my next question. Where do you think a win puts you? Because obviously, Jan Sterling have to have their rematch.
Yeah,
Dillashaw's out there wanting the
yeah.
title
So
shot.
it's
Like,
still it's in a weird spot, man. I think even a big win over him, I'm still one more fight behind. Obviously, you never know what happens with things, how they play out, and injuries and all that. But I do believe getting a win over Aldo keeps me out there, keeps my name in there. But you still got obviously TJ and the whole Sterling and Jan situation. So it's gonna be like I'm thinking one more.
for me personally, I would obviously Jan Sterling have to, but I think on the same card you put you and Dillashaw, and then there's no question like who gets the next title shot if you win.
That'd be nice, but from what I'm hearing he might get the first shot. So that'd be ideal. Get out here, he gets recovered, comes back for injury. Um, Sterling and Jan do the rematch. And the co-main event is me and TJ Dillashaw.
Is that something you're thinking of? Like maybe I gotta go out and finish Aldo and get like a big statement win to try to leapfrog TJ?
Not really. You know, I'm trying to finish it and make it exciting. Anyways, I don't really think finishes mean much. Especially when you have such a name like TJ and a former champ and all that, and he had the whole story behind him, and I think um, that probably plays more of a factor, plays more of a part than just me going out there and knocking out Aldo. So we'll see, but hopefully, me going out there, it's just like we don't even want to see that fight anymore. We want to see Rob in the winner of the Jan and Sterling fight.
Who is it? Just Calvin and the usual guys you're working with, or did you bring anyone else out there?
So we have a bunch of boxers we've been sparring with, drilling with a couple Muay Thai guys, but mainly it's Nick Fiore, Tom Pags, Jonathan Dupree, Jake Manini, obviously Coach Tyson, and Calvin Cater for sure.
I know you're a guy that likes to be active, but is that kind of frustrating where you get a win and you don't really know what's next for you or when you might fight?
Yeah, it is. It's especially you know, especially how this whole situation is with the rematch and the belt. It is a little frustrating, but if I'm getting 2 fights a year, I'm cool with that. But if I can stay consistent, I wouldn't be mad.
Uh, Calvin's fight, like, is it basically this fight, then right back into the gym to help Calvin with his fight?
100%. We got a solid team coming out for my fight camp, and he'll be there as well. I'm sorry, for my fight, and he'll be there as well, cornering me. But right after that, it's right back in, helping him because again, he has another big main event as well. So plan is get in there, get out as soon as possible, enjoy a plate or two, and then get back to the gym.
How exciting is that for you guys? Where especially your gym wasn't well known, and now you two are headlining two cards like pretty close together.
Yeah, man, it's just it's all the hard work's paying off. We're getting that kind of recognition that we deserve, and yeah, no, we're just taking it day by day, fight by fight. But it is pretty cool to look back and see, the main events, the coverage, the love we're getting, and the support we're getting. So, hell yeah.
With Kelvin, how hard is it to prepare for Giga? Because UFC is a kind of a unique striking style.
It's just kind of like it's finding guys that move similar to him, but then just drilling out the certain basic, kickboxing movements that he does anyways. But it is a little difficult to kind of like move exactly like him. But if you slow it down, I can mimic him pretty well.
Just last thing, I know we've talked golf before. Do you get many rounds in this summer?
No, man, it's been horrible. It's been horrible. We probably, it's funny. Me and Calvin both got a membership. We probably played maybe like 5 times. Like that's it. It's been bad, but hopefully we can get to it. We can get to it more, but the weather right now is getting pretty ugly, and hopefully we can sneak it in around out in Vegas.
Who wins normally when you and Calvin golf?
Calvin definitely wins, but he's basically my coach. He showed me how to play, but I'm catching up.
He'll be pretty angry then once you beat him one day.
That's the plan. I've been close. I've been close. I mean, but yeah, he's like right when I'm about to beat him, he just like pulls it together and like just shuts me down. But yeah, he's legit. But hopefully we can get out there in Vegas and at least play around.
Well, Rob, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh man, thanks again for having me on, bro.
All right, we're joined by UFC welterweight Matt Brown, who's back in action here. Matt, how's it going, man?
Very good, very good.
Before we get into your fight, I remember we talked after your last one, and you said like you kind of had to sit down. You wouldn't be surprised you didn't fight again. You wouldn't be surprised if you fought again. Like, when did you kind of make that decision that you'd kind of continue on fighting?
Oh, gosh, I don't remember saying that.
Yeah.
They just called me to fight, and I said, okay, yeah, that's all it comes down to. I just felt it when they called me, and I guess that's just kind of how I do it. I just play it one fight at a time, and I guess I get pretty excited when they call me to fight, so it's hard to say no.
Like, have you really thought about retirement still, or is it still all in on fighting?
Um, I I mean, I've thought about it since I started. So I mean, this is a tough game, man, and it's a grind all the time, and it's hard work, and so I certainly think about it all the time, and it's not so much about what I talk about is hard work and everything, and that's part of it, but really, family life and business and all these other things that are going to last the rest of my life, I guess. Kind of make things a little bit more difficult, and I guess that's more what it comes down to, really.
Do you think you'll be one of those people that, like, knows, like, this would be your last fight, or do you think you'd be the kind of go off quietly and say you're done?
That's a good question. I just take it day by day at the moment. I don't really think about all this stuff. I just take it day by day, and when that day comes, that day will come, and we'll figure it out from there.
And this fight, Brian Barberina, like, he's in a kind of an all-action fighter, so when you got this call, was it basically just an immediate yes?
I didn't actually really know who he was. I knew that he'd had some good fights, and um, I shouldn't say I didn't know who he was. I knew who he was, but I didn't really know his record or all the guys that he had fought. And since I've watched his tape and stuff, I mean, this guy's a tough son of a bitch, man, and he's fought some really tough guys. And um, you know, I think when I first heard his name, I kind of thought it'd be easier than what I think it'll actually be now after watching him.
And he's like a very durable guy. Like Luque needed like 5 seconds left in the fight to put away. So like, is this kind of a fight that you're kind of prepared for, like that kind of 15-minute war?
I'm always prepared for that. And I had him winning that Luque fight.
Yep.
So, and Luque's what, 7 or 8 now in the world. So, Barberina's got some real good skills, man. He's kind of known for being tough and a brawler and durable and hanging in there till the last minute, but he's also got some good skills. So, I'm definitely not expecting an easy night, but I've had enough fights now. I think I know that um, it doesn't matter what you expect. You rarely get what you expect. It could go any different direction.
Are you kind of expecting this one though to remain standing for the most part? It seems like you guys both kind of prefer to just keep it standing.
I have no idea. I mean, that's usually, it's generally my game plan is to keep it standing. So, and I don't see him really shooting for a lot of takedowns or anything or looking for it. So, but you just never know what's going to happen. I mean, there's been many fights that I thought would stay on the feet and they didn't, or fights that I thought would go to the ground that didn't. So I'm not going to put a lot of weight on any predictions, and I'm just going to be prepared for everything that comes my way.
You see a lot of people like uh when they get near the like in their 40s, like the power seems to kind of leave them, but your power kind of has stayed, even gotten better. Like how has that been for you, where you still has that one shot knockout power?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I probably have more power than I've ever had in my career. I think my skills are getting better. I think every part of my game's coming up, and particularly my power and accuracy. Um, I think I've probably had more. Um, well, my last fight, was a one punch knockout. I probably had more punches like that in my later in my career than earlier. I think earlier, most of my fights that I won by knockout or TKO were probably more TKOs, where it was kind of swarming guys and using cardio and things like that. Where, I think my power has come up a lot, and um, I shouldn't say I think I know my power has come up a lot, and my accuracy is better. Um, I think a lot of it's got to do with just my technique is better and more efficient, better accuracy, and I've been doing strength training for a long time, and I've really dialed it in towards specifically towards my sport a lot better.
How do you kind of see yourself winning this fight then? Because it could really go a bunch of different ways.
I would imagine probably an elbow or a knee, or he likes to clinch up. So, and that's my world. So I want to have. I'm pretty excited that I have a guy that I believe will be willing to engage with me in a lot of the battles that I try to get people to engage in that they won't engage in most of the time. That people generally, I think, when they game plan against me, they try to avoid these situations like the clinch and he seems like the kind of guy that doesn't really give a shit. He's gonna engage no matter where the fight goes, and that kind of excites me. I want to show a lot of the skills that people, I say, try to avoid most of the time.
What do you think a win over Brian does for you? Or is it just kind of keeps you in that winning ways and gets you another high profile name?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get back on a good streak, man, good winning streak, and it just moves me towards the next fight. I'm not ranked or anything right now. I'm not on a streak where I could be calling out top guys or anything like that. So, um, I just want to get back to getting a few wins and start getting some higher profile fights again. Maybe ideally, I heard the UFC's come back to Columbus and next year. I'd love to main event that.
I don't know your initial on this, but after Diaz and Lawler fought, I saw a lot of people kind of throwing your name out for Nick Diaz, just because you two are kind of those two legends of sport. You both have very similar styles. Even Robbie Lawler too. Are those kind of you're kind of looking for those big names now?
Yeah, I mean, I'll fight anybody. It's I guess when I say that, it's not about specific people. I don't have any specific names in mind right now other than Brian Barberina, but I'm just talking about, I'd like to get back on the main event and particularly main events. I mean, that's the greatest feeling in the world, man. I main evented twice, and once against Lawler and once Eric Silva. And that's just the best experience there is, man. That's the greatest. And especially if I could do it here in my hometown in Columbus, Ohio, that would just be, that would be amazing, man.
How disappointing are you? You're just on a fight night card at the Apex. They couldn't even throw you on one of the pay-per-views with fans.
Yeah, that was kind of disappointing to hear. It is what it is. We'll deal with that, Again, I think I just got to get back to winning, man. I got to get back to being consistent, winning consistently. I've been kind of going back and forth, losing some fights and, fights I probably shouldn't be losing, and it's just inconsistency and, letting things distract me and stuff. So I just got to take care of those things, put them to the side, and just be able to go in there and perform the way that I can. And I'll get back to my winning ways if I do that.
You've been coaching quite a few people too, haven't you, recently?
Yeah. I don't know if I'd say quite a few people, but yeah, I have my own gym now and have a lot of fighters coming in and out. And, I work with them. I've been fighting too much this year to work with them a lot, but, when I have my own fight, it's hard to coach other people, but I do spend time coaching other people as much as I can. I really enjoy doing it, and I hope to build a really great team here.
Is that kind of the plan after fighting, is the coffee and coaching? I can't really ever see you leaving the sport.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. I don't know if I don't know if it's one of those things that's you say that's really a solid plan, so to speak, right? It's not
Yeah.
necessarily. It's kind of got to just happen organically. I don't think you can say I'm going to be a coach and I'm going to be successful at it. It's a whole different thing than fighting, and it takes a whole another grind to get to the top of that game too. And then of course you got to have the right people too. So that there's a lot of aspects to that, and I don't think it's necessarily a solid plan. So I wouldn't say that that's necessarily my my out for when I'm done fighting, but ideally it would be. That is what I would love to be doing.
And the Columbus card, you were supposed to do that before COVID. What would that walkout mean, to be able to walk out back in front of your hometown?
Yeah, that would be amazing, especially if I was main or even co-main event. That would just be amazing, and another dream come true. I fought in Columbus way back in the day. God, when was that? Probably 2009, 2010. And, a lot has changed since then. My name's a lot bigger. A lot more people here in Columbus know me now. So, yeah, I think it would be a much bigger thing this time around. Back then, I was still kind of building my name and getting known. So I would be so excited to do that. And that would be a dream come true.
Just a couple more things. I saw on your Instagram you have your kids are in the gym all the time, like wrestling. Would you ever let them get into fighting, or is that something you'd kind of try to talk them out of?
Yeah. Well, with the kids, it's not my job to tell them what to do. It's my job to build responsible adults with them, and that's what I use the martial arts for. That's what I bring them in the gym for, so they can learn the lessons from the martial arts. And if they become inclined towards fighting, that's their choice, and that's great. I don't look at it necessarily like I don't push them to do it really. Now I make sure that they know at least enough that they can protect themselves, and I try to build strength and resiliency in my kids and some durability and things like that, because you see so many kids these days are just pussies, man, and they're weak, and I mean it's just disgusting. I don't know, maybe my generation was probably the same, I don't know, but the from my vision now seeing it, it's really terrible, a tragic thing to see. So I don't want my kids to be like that. So, my job is to build them to be responsible adults and take care of their lives, and then they can choose what they decide to do with it.
Just last thing, the coffee business, how's that going?
It's very good. Another grind, man. Like coffee's not an easy business.
Yeah.
There's a lot of competition out there. So, we're just staying on it, man. That's what it's all about. I've never backed down from a challenge, and I just stay right on it all the time.
Have any fighters at events ever hit you up to try to get some of your coffee?
Yeah. I send coffee out to a lot of different guys.
Well, Matt, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for doing this.
My pleasure, sir.
All right, we're joined by UFC bantamweight Louis Smolka, who's back in action. How's it going, man?
Okay.
Obviously, I just wanted to quickly start off. You were supposed to fight O'Malley in July. Like, obviously, that was a big fight for you. Like, how disappointing was that having to pull out of that fight?
Bro, yeah, it sucks, man. Yeah, it sucks, dude. Straight up, I wanted to fight him. It's an act of God, apparently, is what somebody said when I told them like about what happened. They're like, "Oh, it's an act of God." It was pretty weird, but I don't know, dude. I wasn't fit, had an infection, and I had to pull out, and it sucks, but it's whatever. I'll get back there. I'll make my way to the top one way or another. I'll make it one way or another.
What did you make of his performance? Because he ended up staying on that card and then fighting Chris Moutinho.
He doesn't look anywhere near as dominant against people that can match his height.
Was this about the right time frame for you to return in December after that, or was this a bit later than what you thought?
A little bit later. I wanted to fight a little earlier. But it is what it is. I wanted to come back a little sooner, but I think my manager Jason, he wanted to make sure I had ample time to recover and stuff from one of his little babies, and he tries to look after me. So he wanted to make sure like I got pushed a little more and made sure I was fully healed.
This fight with Vince, I'm kind of surprised it's happening just because you obviously trained with Ricky. He's Ricky's cousin. Like, did that ever play a factor in maybe not taking this fight?
Yeah, no, I didn't want to initially, but apparently this is what we're doing now. So, hi, baby.
How weird does that make it? Because
it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird.
You train with Ricky all the time.
Yeah, no, it's kind of weird. Like I was teasing him. He came out to our gym, and I was like, "We have a double agent in our midst." Like, I was just messing with him and stuff. But yeah, it is a little. It's awkward, honestly, a little bit. But we're all professionals, and we're just trying to, like how as professionals, we're all trying to get paid. We're all trying to fight. We're all trying to make our careers, make a living for ourselves. So This is how it has to be. This is how it has to be.
I know Ricky normally corners him. Do you know if he will be, or do you think, or
I
is he said
know
he's out?
he does. I hope he does. We're gonna. Dude, I hope Ricky corners him. It'll just be so. It's so funny.
How do you think you match up against Vince though? Because he's a pretty well-rounded guy, just like yourself.
Yeah, I think I'm a little better, honestly, everywhere, but I think that all the time, so I'm pretty biased.
Have you ever trained with him? Because like, has he ever came out to work with Ricky?
He went to Oyama's and he hurt himself like the first day, and like and he just like went and had to go get himself fixed up. But yeah, man, I never actually trained with him though. I've seen him around. I've always been kind of friendly with him and stuff. You know, we fought on like a few of the same cards. I've always been like friendly with him, so it is a little awkward, but you know, this is how it is.
Especially too because you guys are both rep by Iridium and Jason House. That I thought maybe he would
Yeah,
have said something before even
weird,
bringing
right?
it to you guys.
Yeah, no, I told him no, but apparently that's what the UFC wanted, and he took it really fast. So it was just like, all right, whatever, it's business.
How do you kind of see this fight playing out? Just because your guy, more times than not, when you win, you do find that stoppage.
Yeah, I'll try to finish him everywhere. I think I only have 2 decisions in my 17 wins. But yeah, you know, I'm trying to finish the fight all the time. I'm hoping to get a finish. There's more closure in it, you know. If you can finish him, it's not up to like, it's not someone's opinion that you want. It's like, no, the other dude could not continue, you know. So I'm hoping to get a finish.
Do you think this is mostly standing, or do you think he tries to wrestle you?
I don't think he tries to wrestle me, but he might. I think he's mostly gonna do what he does. Try to box, use his movement, use his footwork. Might load up a little bit more, but apparently, but yeah, I wouldn't see him trying to wrestle. I doubt that.
Do you look at the Chris Gutierrez fight and how like he kind of finished him with leg kicks? Like, is that something you're kind of implementing into your game plan?
Yeah, I saw that. It's definitely something that I'm thinking about. You know, when you watch somebody when you watch somebody's leg compromised like that, you know, you really start to like it shows an obvious weakness. Definitely something that I might try to exploit. We'll see what opens up as the fight unfolds.
What do you think a win over Vince like does for you and puts you in the division?
It just moves me forward one step. He's coming off a win. I'm coming off a win, so it just pushes me up one step forward. I don't know, maybe get some bigger fights ideally. I've been in the UFC for a while, so I want to try to fight and try to at least make a run. You know, try to do something for my career, leave some kind of legacy. So that's my goal. Look, coming into this fight is to try to get a win and go on a run.
How disappointing was it? You go from like this massive card on a McGregor pay-per-view to now you're just at the
Bro, I'm
apex in
fighting
front of no one.
that's almost better, all right. Like WEC never die. It's almost better, all right.
Yeah,
I'm fighting on the same card as Jose Aldo.
yeah, that is cool.
Dog.
But just the no fans though, does that kind of bug you? Or does that not bug you? Like, is that annoying?
There's fans now at the Apex, so it's a little better. It's like fighting in a high school cafeteria.
Yeah, there's not a ton. Like, would you rather be in like those arenas, or do you kind of like that Apex? How it's just very like intimate.
I like this middle ground, the Apex with a little bit of people in it. I like that middle ground. It's real comfortable, real intimate. Only the people that really care are there.
It's like a high school fight club. Like only the select few.
Also, I feel young again, dude. I feel like it's reliving my youth, bro. Like I was over here fighting in Hawaii and high school cafeterias and fighting at Patways, dude.
At Team Ioma, like, is it kind of awkward still, like with the training? Because I obviously a lot of them are close with Ricky. Like you said, he came out for a
we've
bit.
been joking about it nonstop. It's like a bit, dude. We're just doing bits right now. Brent Primus is there. Like that's gonna be funny. Brent Primus just came down, so we're gonna mess with him a little bit.
Why? What are you gonna do?
I'm just like I just told him that I was like he's just gonna like we have a double agent, you know, like we're just gonna like mess around. It's just a joke, but no one cares.
Like when would that ideal time frame be to get it? Because you're a guy that likes to be active. I know this year you didn't get as many fights just because of the infection. Like, are you hoping a quick turnaround to everything goes your way?
Yeah, I would like that. Well, we got to see. You know, I'm trying not to get ahead of myself. That never really goes well for me. So I'm just, focusing on the task at hand. But ideally, if I can get out of this kind of quickly, I would like to fight again fairly soon.
How far away do you think you are from a guy in the rankings? Like, I think you win this. Like, it might just be one more fight, and then you're kind of getting a ranked guy.
Yeah, around if I get like 2 or 3 wins in a row, I think we're starting to look a little higher up the ladder. Just because I do have a bit of like seniority in the company, you know what I mean? Like everybody kind of knows like what I'm about, and everybody knows that I'm pretty talented. I have a wide array of technical skills. It's just putting it all together at the right time. So if I can show that I'm finding that groove, I think like it'll kind of warrant me getting a push forward.
Is it kind of surreal for you to think like you're closing on 8 years since your UFC debut
Yeah.
in January? Like it doesn't seem like you've been in the UFC.
It feels
for that
like
long.
it took forever, and at the same time was like went by in an instant.
What have you kind of taken away? Because like you look at your first run, like you seem like a totally different fighter. Like what changed for you?
I guess you just get older, man. When I first got into the UFC, I was like a kid. I thought like the world was my oyster. I was undefeated. I, I was getting fights against like title contenders like almost out right off the bat. I really thought like I was gonna be like the next John Jones. Like I truly believed that in my head. But then things happen, and it is hard to lose. And kind of have that like narrative or that little like thing that you've created in your head, like that this legacy you're gonna live, it's kind of destroyed now. And so like that is hard, because like it's what you've been working for. It's the thing that motivates you. It's the thing that gets you up in the morning. So that's a little rough, but like overall, like I just learned to keep going, and I learned to have fun with it. And so that's all I'm doing is I'm just having fun now. I try to have as much fun as possible. While still working hard and sweating, but like I'm trying to have fun with like I guess being a little more creative and being a little more myself. Coach Colin kind of like he kind of talks about that. No two fighters are the same, so we're gonna have different approaches to the game. And so like I think maybe I don't know. I think part of it is that like and letting me grow into like my own form, and I'm kind of like happier doing that.
With the O'Malley fight, like, do you think you win this one? Maybe you might get that, or do you think you're gonna need a couple wins to try to get that one back?
I don't know. I feel like it's a bit like okay, so he's kind of like the golden goose for like the unranked 35.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like getting your ticket for like Willy Wonka or whatever. So like out of respect for the other 35ers that are also putting in work, for me to immediately be like, all right, give me O'Malley now. Like I feel like that's a bit disrespectful because they would all deserve their shot. But I'm not opposed to it if that's what's being done. It's just like I don't feel like I would be in the position to like step on toes and be like, no, me to the front of the line. Like it's like, no, dude, you had your shot and like it didn't work out. Like, you know what I mean? Like it honestly was not through any fault of my own, but like it's still like I did get my shot, and it kind of feels like that there's like a higher power or something that's like, no, dude, not right now. So.
After going through a camp and studying him, like, do you think he's as good as what everyone makes him out to be? Because I've talked to some bantamweights, like, they think he is like as good as people hype him up, and then some people think he's overhyped, and he really isn't like that good.
It's a mix. It's so fighting in MMA is like honestly all combat sports is about playing like it's about whose fight is gonna happen. If you stand at range with him, he's gonna be as good as they say that they say he is. That's where he's gonna thrive. But if you put him into other situations, if you can bring the fight to him and force it into grappling, into cage wrestling, into the pocket, like he might not look the same. Especially like against the taller guys. Like he just doesn't look quite as imposing when he can't threaten the same way with the same lanes, I guess, the same angles.
Just last thing, like, what's the kind of plans for the holidays? You kind of get that fight right before. Are you going back to Hawaii?
Probably not. No, we just got a house, so like I'm working on that. I'm trying to get paid, dude. I need to fight. I need fights. Like I got a mortgage and stuff. I got 2 mortgages now, dude.
How often do you go back to Hawaii?
I haven't even been back yet, like since I moved up here.
Oh, really? I thought you would have went back at least like once or twice.
No, dude, I want to, but it's just like I'm just working, man. Like I'm putting in work out here.
Well, Louis, man, I appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you, Cole.
Yeah. All right, we're joined by UFC bantamweight Vince Morales, who's returning pretty soon. Vince, how's it going?
Doing well, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. This seems like a pretty quick turnaround for you, like fighting in August. Like, is this quicker than you thought you'd get back in there?
I actually wanted quicker. I just had some lingering stuff from the past fight camp that I had to make sure, like body wise, that I could recover from. So I was good. I was good with the time frame when I got the call for it. So here we are.
Your last fight, like, how big of a relief was that to get the win? Just kind of get back in the win column and snap that losing streak.
That was the first time ever that I've lost 2 in a row like that. So that was huge. I was already at a new point, like in my MMA career. And I felt like we were probably both on the chopping block and loser goes. So that was a stressful fight, stressful moment for me. Happy with the outcome though. I'm glad to walk away the winner. I instantly, as soon as I raised my hand, I felt the giant like weight off my shoulders until I got home, and then I wanted to get right back in there, of course. So.
And Louis Smolka, like, was this someone you had your eye on, or was it just who the UFC offered you?
That was just somebody I got offered. I met Smolka on when I debuted against Song. He was there in China. I think he was the first fight of the night. He had just got back with the UFC, so we had talked a little bit. Got acquainted with him. I've watched him fight for years. I was kind of surprised at the offer to somebody who's been around that long. I'm looking forward to it though. I think it's a tough fight. It's the right fight. I think it's going to be kind of a dog fight.
Were you kind of caught off guard? This was your opponent just because he was just supposed to fight Sean O'Malley. So like, obviously he was kind of getting a big push up as well.
Yeah, a little bit. And that crossed my mind as well. And I think with a solid win here, I can really start making a case for my own name and place in the division.
With Smolka, like, how do you think you match up against him? Because he obviously has a lot of power, pretty good on the ground. Like, he's very well rounded.
Yeah, I think we match up pretty well. The main things that are probably going to separate us is going to be I think he's going to be real heavy on the ground, whereas I'm a little bit lighter, but I'm pretty well versed on the ground. That's just not something that has been shown much, especially in the UFC. I'm looking forward to, like, if it goes there, great. Like, I can start showing some things because I got some tricks up my sleeve. I think the main thing that's going to separate us really, though, is going to be my speed.
He is a former flyweight, so do you think you're like? But he's been at bantamweight for a while, so do you guys think your size is pretty much be pretty similar?
Pretty close. I still think he's going to be the bigger guy, to be honest. I'm not that big. I'm only walking around like 15 pounds above fight weight or so right now. So that's where I live and hang out. If anything, I'd probably have room to. I'm never going to do it though, to cut down to flyweight. But no, I think he'll be a little bit bigger. I think he's going to be heavy, and I'll be ready for that. It's what it is.
Well, you kind of just answered my question. Flyweight totally out of the picture then. Like, even if the right fight came up, you wouldn't do it?
Even if the right fight. I mean, if they want to offer me, I go right to a title fight. I mean, I'll make some sacrifices and figure it out. But I really, no, I'm trying to have a long career, and I don't think cutting weight really helps on that end. I used to fight at 45 because I believed that too. Firmly believed that. But man, the guy started getting almost 6 foot tall, cutting from 180 pounds. And I'm like, okay, if I want to compete at the highest level, I'm going to have to at least go down to bantamweight.
Do you wish that something that happened more in MMA is people just fight near their natural weight class? Like, I get no one really walks around right at like 35 or 45, but like, I think if you're like 5-7 pounds is kind of where you should fight. Like, people, I know somebody that cut like 20-25 pounds to get where they fight.
That's insane to me. I would, yeah, see, and that's the position I'd be in doing flyweight. So I'm like, no, like, that's not for me. I think I'm stronger and healthier at bantamweight than I would be at flyweight. So even if there is a little bit of a size difference, for me, 35 is where it's at, and that's I'd like to see more of that. I think we'd have better fights. We'd have the guys to be willing to fight harder. I think it'd be good for the organization as a whole, the sport as a whole.
I guess it helps you to take these, like, if you get quick turn or short notice or quick turn on fights, that you aren't killing yourself to get down to weight either.
Exactly, and that's normally how I do business. Like I like the shorter camps. I don't like to keep somebody specific on my mind for the whole time. I like to grow, and then cool, we got an opponent, let's fight.
Oh, going to the Apex, is that going to be a bit of a disappointment after just fighting in front of a sold out crowd in Houston?
Yeah, absolutely. I love the crowd. It doesn't matter if they're cheering for me or not. I like a lot of noise in the background. They are they are starting to let people in the Apex a little bit more. So I'm hoping maybe we can get some people loud enough. Like, should be fun. Looking to have a way better performance this time at the Apex than my previous experience there.
How do you kind of see this fight playing out? Because Louis is obviously a very durable guy and a tough guy to finish.
I think it's going to be, like I was saying earlier, I think it's going to be kind of a dogfight. I think I'm durable and hard to finish as well. I think I'm definitely wanting to step forward. I know he's probably going to be right there, willing to step forward as well. I think it's going to be a good fight. I'm looking forward to this. I think if I had to say anything, I'm doing well on the feet. He tries to take me down. I look for a submission and kind of surprising people with a submission down there.
Well, that's actually kind of what I want to touch on. Like, since to me, I wouldn't be surprised if this plays out more on the ground than the feet. Like, is that kind of what you're expecting as well? Is him to be the one to initiate the wrestling, or is that something you're even thinking about? Maybe you're the one to kind of take this one to the ground.
That's a little of both, really. I think I know he's going to be looking for that, so I'm not trying to shy away from that either. Like, I want to be able to put the pace on him there as well. So that's something I would really like to bring back is my my wrestling. That's my base. So.
Your speed cardio is obviously a big advantage at bantamweight. Like, how big do you think that's going to be in this one?
I think that should be good. Generally, as my opponents slow down, I actually pick up the speed and I get better as the fight goes. So with this one kind of being a dogfight where he's trying to put the pace on me and I'm right there. I'm gonna be putting the pace on him, whether it's defensively or offensively. I'm looking for him to wear down a little bit and I start getting better and doing more as the fight goes.
Who are the main guys you're working with? Are you working with Ricky for this one?
Not so much with this one. So Ricky trains over with Timo Yama in California.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, I didn't know if that was still. So is that weird for him then?
Yeah, that poor guy. It kind of threw off his camp. I thought because that's something he normally does is go over there. So I think right now he's trying to have the coach go to him back in Vancouver, and they're going to work things out there. Thankfully, they can work that out. Because I did feel bad that there were going to have to be some weird adjustments for it, but it's the fight game. We're kind of all prepared for these. I mean, not prepared. We're mentally prepared for what we got to adjust to. So,
is that something you talked to Ricky before accepting the fight, just to kind of see his thoughts on it?
Yeah, he was the first person I talked to, actually. As soon as I got offered it, I didn't even reply back to my manager or my coach or anything like that. I called Ricky and just kind of let him know the situation and the position that Smolka and I were kind of both in, and told me not to stress about it. Just to it is what it is. It's like I was saying, it's kind of the fight game. So here we are.
Ricky's the only guy then you'd never fight?
Nah, we fought too much growing up. I probably wouldn't have to fight him now. I mean, if we get paid, we can go fake fight in front of thousands of people. That'd be a good time. But until then, would never do that to family.
So just kind of going off that, like, who are the main guys you're working with?
Sorry, yeah. Right now I've got a handful of people over at Syndicate that are really good that I'm training with. Cameron Else just flew in from England. I'm training with him. Davey Grant's here. We're getting a little work in with him. Jay Perrin, Jerry Shapiro. Who else have I been working with over there?
I know I talked to O'Day Osborne who just fought, and he.
O'Day, yes, O'Day. Oh man, I love O'Day. O'Day's the man. O'Day's been somebody that I was putting in a lot of work with before his camp. So we got a strong staple of like the bantamweight guys over there. It's fun.
Just being in Vegas too, like, how much easier does that make the fight? Like, you don't have to worry about flying anywhere. Like, you can just drive to where you have to go.
I like that. The only thing I don't like about that, I like the tradition of flying and like adjusting to the hotel and all that stuff. I am looking forward to, like, we just bought a house over here, so I'm looking forward to like hanging out in the house kind of during fight week. Like, oh, this is cool. This is a whole new brand new experience for me. So it's like I'm excited. Really. I'm kind of glad it's here. Like, I don't have to worry about the travel. All my corners already here. Cool. We'll be set.
Where do you think a win over Smolka like puts you in the division?
I think it puts a few eyes on me, which I would like, because I'm the same thing we're all trying to do is fight the best guys, beat the best guys, and move on up and get paid more. And that's kind of that's exactly where I'm at. And I'm hoping that that'll probably put me somewhere I notice. Maybe the fight after that, we're looking at somebody we're battling out for maybe a top 15 position or something. That's fingers crossed. That's what I'm looking at.
And starting a winning streak, like, that's something you haven't had to, or you haven't done so far in the UFC. Like, how important is that for you? Kind of just get that consistency momentum going.
that's a big goal. At the beginning of the year when I was writing down my goals, because I do that every year because that's what we all do. Like it was 2 fights, 2 wins minimum. Like 3 fights, 3 wins if time permits. But I was also coming back off an Achilles surgery, so I know how things are weird like that. But yeah, so getting back on a win streak, that's huge for me. That would erase a lot of well, not necessarily erase, but it would put some of this other stuff under the rug that I had to deal with to get to this point.
With the bantamweight division, like it's kind of so stacked. Like, how many wins do you think it's gonna take to kind of get in those ranks? Like, there's so many good guys where like they'd be ranked any other weight class, I think, if it wasn't for bantamweight.
Yeah, bantamweight's insane. I was literally just talking to Cameron about this right now. Bantamweight's got to be one of the stiffest divisions and most dense. Like all the guys in top 15 are kind of interchangeable, right? Man, there's so many good guys. Oh, now I got lost in that. I'm sorry. What was the question?
Like how many fights do you think it's gonna take to kind of crack that top 15?
I think it'll take 2 of the right fights. I think will put me there. If I beat Smolka and then I get offered somebody else because maybe they're still not impressed with me, that's fine. I know I'm pretty good at rising to the occasion, and that's how I see myself getting there. They're trying to build somebody up, and I'm taking all that away. So I'm thinking 2 more fights. I'm looking at if I'm not in the top 15 at that point, I'm top 16.
Is that O'Malley fight one that kind of you think might happen just because Smolka was supposed to fight him? Like maybe you kind of take his spot and kind of get that, because it seems like they're slow rolling O'Malley, and he kind of wants to be slow rolled and not fight these ranked guys.
Which I get when he's talked about things. For me, that's somebody like I've kind of had my eye on as well. I mean, I think everybody in the division does, just because there's so much hype around him. I would love that fight. I think that'd be great. Maybe we can compete for that top 15 spot, whatever.
Do you think his hype is warranted? Because I've talked to some bantamweights that think like he really is that skilled, and some people kind of think he is overhyped and he isn't as good as a lot of people think he is.
I actually think he's very good. I think he does a lot of things right in terms of his striking, and I've seen him on Quintet, I think, and he tapped out Gilbert Melendez. Like he's familiar with the ground. I know he's good. He looks like he moves. He's kind of tall for the division. Knows how to use his range. I think he does a lot of things right. I don't think he's unbeatable though.
Just a few more things. You get your hand raised here. Like, how quickly do you want to turn this thing around? Like, I assume you want to be pretty active, like beginning early next year.
Yeah, I'd like to be end of February, March. I mean, fingers crossed. I'd like to go. Like, I like to get 3 fights in next year. I'm trying to stay. I get a little bit of momentum. I want that to keep rolling. So get me back in there. If it's short notice, if it's a camp we can structure immediately after the fight, let's do it.
Hopefully not at the Apex, or you put you back in front of on a pay-per-view in front of fans.
Put me in front of a crowd. I love a crowd. I think with the energy I'm gonna bring this time too. I think they're gonna see that and know that, like, cool, we got to get this guy in front of a crowd. So.
Just last question. UFC fought in the big octagon for the pay-per-view. You're back to the small one in the Apex. Like, do you think that's going to be a factor in this fight, or is it kind of the same fight to you?
Kind of the same. If anything, it might push the pace a little bit more, because I think it's going to make whoever's getting pressured want to shoot, and I don't think either one of us are going to be scared to take a shot this fight. So depending on who's pressuring and where and how often, I think you're going to see a few more takedowns. I don't think it's really going to change the outcome or the way the fight goes, though.
Well, Vince, I appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, not a problem, Cole. It's good talking to you.